Fall has always been my favorite season, and that's not just because it is the only other true season besides summer down here in Florida, or because Halloween is objectively the greatest major holiday in America. I've never been a pumpkin spice lass, but autumn time has this distinct atmosphere to it that is captivating. It is this pastoral melancholy that is omnipresent as I saunter home, and the breeze flits by, the falling leaves making that little crunch they do as I step on them. Fall is the time in which I'm most reminded of this world's beauty, and part of that is how death looms over the season. It is what tempers that sense of awe and wonder at the world, makes it feel as real as it always is. Much like the autumnal, part of why Sequestered Sympathy speaks to me so strongly is that it is perfectly, well, autumnal. Okay, now that we've established that my love for this record is potent enough to make me immediately barrel into such a pretentious screed, I should probably start actually talking about the album itself soon. But don't worry, the pretense is alive and well for when I trot it out again in order to make that opener seem more profound than it was by calling back to it. So what's so great about Sequestered Sympathy? Why am I going to be heaping so much praise on this band with 318 monthly listeners on Spotify at time of writing, let alone taking so much time for an independently released album from 2019, which feels like a lifetime ago? When I first started getting into black metal in earnest, I was adamant that all of the stuff I was gonna try initially would be in the RABM quote-unquote sphere of influence. In other words, black metal for those of us with quote-unquote pronouns and bios. I was scrolling through the Bandcamp tag for RABM, looking for a cover that caught my eye. Sequestered Sympathy was not my introduction to black metal, that'd be Zealand Ardor. Nor was it my introduction to the intensely vague concept of RABM, that'd be Coffin Nail. But it is emblematic of when I began venturing off to find out for myself if a given black metal record spoke to me. Yet Sequestered Sympathy does not simply speak to me, it sings to me. It is an LP that I loved at first blush, but that my heart has only warmed and warmed to the point of burning passion. It is an album that I will gush about to anyone who will hear it. It is an album that hits me deeply personally, one that I will readily admit has made me cry upon several occasions. From the dueling blackened wails and violin runs on the opening title track to the ethereal opening of Dead Can't Die to the solemn closer that is a helpless witness to such pain, Sequestered Sympathy is never not captivating. It so effortlessly weaves together neo-folk, atmospheric black metal, doom metal, and crust into this forlorn package that digs deep into your soul. Its song structures are often these pensive folky builds into devastating, explosive, and cathartic blackened crust finales, but each track is distinct from the others, whether it's the sprawling epic that is Dead Can't Die, or the sobering beauty and wonder found in John Bradley. In spite of its evocative atmospheres, Sequestered Sympathy boasts a tight album length of less than 45 minutes. If you suggested there ought to be any cuts to such a majestic tracklist, I'd start plotting your downfall, if I wasn't already. Despondent, however, poses that Excellences are fully capable of crafting a more aggressive track up front, as its potent screams and stunning violin strokes offer something of a welcome shot of extremity on the first half of the cut. The aforementioned John Bradley, following directly afterwards in the tracklist, conversely shows how their softer side is no less devastating. And then you get to Dead Can't Die. What words could I ever say about this masterpiece that could fully capture its grandeur? It is this towering, beautiful beast that has been the Excellence's song for many. As untenable a position as boiling this band down to merely a single song is, I can understand why everyone gravitates to it. It is one of the greatest songs not only in metal or folk history, but is one of the greatest songs, period. From the aforementioned haunting vocals off the bat, which are where you start to notice just how phenomenal the production is, to the pensive and winding build which never loses its luster, to Andrea's gorgeous vocals, to the magnificent and cathartic release that immediately makes you think that all of that build-up was worth it, before you realize that Excellences have so much more to offer in the realm of sounds that are truly epic. This is a band who never stop one-upping themselves across the song and across the album for all the talk of Atma Black as a genre being boring. This is a band who can dole out rich atmospheres while still constantly engaging you with outstanding dynamic songwriting. Every note of Sequestered Sympathy has permanently etched itself into my mind. That is not hyperbole. Even when I return to it after a lengthy break, I find that it remains burned into my memory. Yet knowing the entire album by heart has never dulled its magic for me. Instead, it has allowed me to enjoy it as one would sauntering down a familiar trail on a nice, breezy morning, witnessing the subtle contours of a passing brook, soaking in the awe and wonder that comes with appreciating the vastness of nature. The lyrics of Sequestered Sympathy are a touch esoteric, feeling more emotional and evocative than narrative. Parched mouth of winter, frozen field of the spring, burnt black by autumn, barren we reap. Removed from the context of the music, does not and cannot speak to the magnificence of hearing burned black by autumn on the tape itself. It is this pastoral melancholy that is omnipresent as I put Sequestered Sympathy on for the couple hundredth time as I walk home. The breeze flits by the falling leaves, making that low crunch they do as I step on them. The experience of listening to Sequestered Sympathy always reminds me of this world's beauty, and part of that is how danger looms over the music. It's what tempers that sense of awe and wonder at the world, makes it feel as real as it always is. I will never feel excellences when it comes to this band and this record. If anything, I feel compelled to share it with anyone and everyone who theoretically might enjoy it, when the opportunity to do so presents itself naturally. Try as I might, I have never found something that quite compares to Sequestered Sympathy. Two Hunters by Wolves in the Throne Room and Kentucky by Panopticon are both stunning Atmo Black in their own ways, and if you are a fan of them, I'm pretty sure you will adore Sequestered Sympathy. But it's the little things that ensure that they are so far afield, they are both in their own realms apart from Sequestered Sympathy. I have listened to and loved the likes of All We Destroy by Grayson, Fear Not by Anaretta, and Gentle Brutality by Masson, which all sport their own meldings of femme vocals, chamber instrumentals, and or screams in the worlds of black metal and crust, but these parallels feel superficial when weighed against the totality of Excellence's sound. In other words, this is a one-of-a-kind album, and for a few years I had worried that it would also be the only Excellences album. Before it, there was a demo tape and an EP, but this is an album span as far as I'm concerned, considering the sheer album craft shown in Sequestered Sympathy. I don't follow any bands on social media, and I routinely miss Bandcamp emails from my favorites. So when Dolphin Whisperer from Angry Metal Guy mentioned to me that they had been recording new music at the time per their Facebook page, and then later when I stumbled upon their Instagram and saw that they were performing new material at concerts, there is no doubt in anyone's mind that I was elated. Next month, Bind Rune Recordings will be releasing not one sophomore album from Excellences, but two on November 15th, the same week as my birthday. Overtures of Uprising billed as the darker record centered on the doomed black metal side of their sound, and Hymns of Collapse, promising a more hopeful record leaning more into their chamber plus neofolk end. That email from Bandcamp was one that I looked at immediately. Yet I won't be listening to the singles that have been released for now, as I would rather hear them for the first time in the album context. After all, I've already waited so long, I can wait a little longer. And I have Sequestered Sympathy to keep me company in the meantime.